Hey, this is Dr. Berry. Let's discuss for just a few minutes how you can raise your HDL cholesterol, that's the good cholesterol, and lower your triglycerides. Both of these things are very important for your health. They've been directly linked as risk factors for heart attack and stroke. And so raising your HDL and lowering your triglycerides are very important for your long-term health. There's so much misinformation out there about how to do this. I thought you deserved a video about what actually works, and that's what we're going to talk about. If you know someone who is worried about their cholesterol or their risk for heart attack and stroke, or if you have family members who have a family history of heart attack and stroke and they're trying to not go down that same road, then please share this video with them. You can post it on your Facebook page. You always have my permission to share my videos inside your Facebook groups. There's a number of ways to share this to help me help lots of people. Now, let's talk about the two different theories of how you raise your HDL and lower your triglycerides, and then we'll talk about why you actually care about that, why you should care anyway. And so if you go to websites like the Mayo Clinic website and WebMD, and you Google, how do I raise HDL? How do I lower triglycerides? Both of these websites, which purport to give real, meaningful, helpful medical advice, will tell you that you need to eat lots of whole grains and you need to decrease your intake of saturated fat if you want to raise your HDL and lower your triglycerides. And then another site that I'll tell you about at the end of the video actually gets it right, one of the larger medical sites on the internet, and I'm very proud of them for getting this right. So, should you eat more carbs, which would be whole grain foods? Should you eat whole grain bread and whole grain muffins and eat whole grain pancakes? Will that raise your HDL and lower your triglycerides? Actually, no. And I've had multiple patients come to me and say, hey, I've been following the American Medical Association's guidelines for years, and I just can't get my triglycerides down. Or I've been following the American Heart Association diet, and my triglycerides keep going up. What's wrong? It's because the recommendations are wrong. If you want to raise your HDL, you've got to eat more saturated fat and you've got to eat fewer carbohydrates. That's how you do it. When you eat a low carbohydrate diet that is filled with healthy saturated fats, like the kind of fat you'll find in meats and healthy oils, you will naturally raise your HDL up to very protective levels, and you will lower your triglycerides down to very safe levels. If, however, you try to follow the Mayo Clinic and the WebMD website advice, the American Heart Association advice, the American Diabetic Association advice, and eat the diet they recommend, you will find that without exception, your triglycerides go up and your HDL goes down. True story. You can try this for yourself. There are a number of people on the internet, including Dave Feldman and Siobhan Huggins, who have performed these experiments on themselves, and then thousands of your friends and family members who have been trying to eat a low-fat, high, healthy carbohydrate diet, and their triglycerides and their HDL just keep getting worse. Now, why should we even care about having a high HDL and low triglycerides? I mean, what matters is total cholesterol and LDL, right? No. So we've been misled for the last couple of decades by the American Medical Association and the American Heart Association to be afraid of a high total cholesterol and a high LDL level. Well, here's the problem with those hypotheses, they've never gleaned enough evidence to actually be promoted to theories. They're still just hypotheses. Here's what you can prove for yourself as a fact. Metabolic syndrome is the thing that we're all trying to prevent. Metabolic syndrome is what leads to heart attack, stroke, and probably all of the other chronic diseases that we currently suffer from in Western society. So what is metabolic syndrome? There are 5 criteria that make up metabolic syndrome, and to be diagnosed with metabolic syndrome, you have to have at least 3 out of these 5. They are high triglycerides, low HDL, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, and central adiposity. That's that fat around your belly. fat on your booty and fat on your thighs, we may not like that, but it's never been proven to be a risk factor for metabolic disease such as heart attack, stroke, type 2 diabetes, etc. So if you have any of these three, you have metabolic syndrome and you are at increased risk of heart attack, stroke, and the other chronic diseases. So now you understand, oh, okay, so it's very important for my health and my health span to have a low triglyceride level. And it's also very healthy to have a high HDL. But then when I go back and I look at all the large research studies, some of which were published and some of which were buried, it looks like that total cholesterol doesn't have anything to do with my risk factors for heart attack and stroke. Same with LDL. No matter how high it is, it doesn't really seem to be a risk factor. If it is, it's a tiny risk factor. The huge risk factors for metabolic syndrome and everything that comes along with it that you can take charge of, and you can take charge of all 5 of these without taking a pill. You can lower your triglycerides and raise your HDL by eating lots of good, healthy, saturated fat and minimizing the amount of carbohydrates you eat, especially sugars and processed grain products, including whole wheat or whole grain bread. All of those raise your blood sugar, which raises your insulin, which raises your triglycerides and lowers your HDL, and you don't want that, okay? So in order to get all of your metabolic syndrome risk factors in order, you need to eat a low carbohydrate, high healthy fat diet like the ketogenic diet. That's the diet that's going to move all 5 indicators of metabolic syndrome in the correct or the proper or the healthy direction. So I'm going to put links down below to the Mayo Clinic website where they get this exactly wrong. And I'm going to put a link to the WebMD article where they get this exactly wrong. And I'm also going to link to the Cleveland Clinic article that really pounds on the need to decrease sugars and decrease processed grains and to eat healthy fats. Cleveland Clinic actually gets it right, and I'm very proud of them for that. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see others like it, please consider subscribing to this channel. And if you'd like to get a notification every time one of my new videos posts, click the little bell button right beside the subscribe button. And that way you don't ever miss a new video because you never know what I'm going to say next, right? Now, if you'd like to help me a little bit more, you can click on the Patreon link down below and sign up very quickly. And you can throw a buck or two my way to help me have more time to make more videos just like this so that I can help even more people. This is Dr. Berry. I'll see you next time.